he has a question regarding double brokerage, as far as it is illegal, how dispatcher should notice the broker is doing that thing, and if the dispatcher could not notice it, what problems could be arisen after taking the load, and what can be a solution for that. Yeah, that's definitely illegal, and there have been some bad players who pose as other brokerage companies, like they would use their name, use their MC number, and they would have like fake documents that you fill out. They would send you confirmation, but then they booked a load with someone else before that, and then once you deliver the load and you send the invoice to the original broker, the one that they posed as, and they say, well, this is not our load, we had nothing to do with this, and then you notice that you've been cheated. What can you do? So first thing you can do is check those brokers, as always. If you have a factoring company, they have a system, or on that board you can look up their reviews. But how can you notice that this person is posing as that broker? Well, if you look at the email where it's coming from, usually most brokers, most companies have a domain name in their name, like I don't know, TQL JB Hunt, they have like TQL.com, and other brokers will have that similar kind of domain. And then if their email address starts with their name at, and then that domain name for the broker, then it's probably fine. Now they can also fake a domain name too, that's not a problem. But if you notice that the email is coming from like a Gmail address, or something like that, like Yahoo or SBC Global, then that's a red flag. It doesn't have to be that way. There are a lot of brokerages, a lot of trucking companies who use a Gmail address, but I'm just saying that that's a red flag. Another red flag, that they don't have a lot of information in their signature. Most brokers will try to make a professional looking email, with signature, with their contacts, and their information, maybe even a picture, a company logo, something like that. But if it doesn't have that, that's another red flag. When you talk to them, if they have a local number, and most brokers have a local number and a 1-800 toll-free number, but if you notice that this is coming from a weird number, or like a private number too, that's another red flag. So if it's coming from a local number, and then when you call them back, it goes straight to that person. So maybe they're working off of their cell phone, or maybe they'll have one line. But usually when you call a company, they have options, extensions and such, and then you can choose from them. So when you call back, then you can also find out about that. Now, brokers also have their direct phone number, so if they're calling you and you call them, they're gonna answer, and then everything is fine. So that's really not easy to say. I would say go with your gut feeling. See how they act. If they're professional, and you can kind of tell if someone is professional, and if because usually companies will teach them how to speak, how to call you, how to greet you, how to talk to you, how to offer you a load. If you have someone that's, you can hear them in background, they're like in their car and, doing something, and, talking to other people, and just generally like their behavior is off, something might be wrong. And you can always call back that company, like they claim they're from, look up their phone number, on that board, or on Google, or on their website, and then call them, and then ask them if they have that guy working, if they have that load that they're selling, and if you're on that load, actually. But if the person is kind of odd, like behaving really suspiciously, then you can check on all that. So that would be one way to do that. And if you happen to finish a load for them like that, then usually like the original broker has to pay to whoever transported the load. So in this case, if you find out who the original broker is, they will pay you actually. Most brokers, all brokers, almost all of them have that policy for double brokering. If they notice that the load has been double brokered, they're not gonna pay it to the first company that took it from you. They're gonna pay the load to whoever actually transported the load. You have the bill of lading, you have a proof, signed POD that you did the load, and then that broker most likely will pay you. But how do you find out who the broker is? Well, you can call, the shipper, the receiver, and then ask them and tell them what happened, and then ask them who the original broker is, and then you can contact that original broker. And I had it happen a few times to me before, and I was able, I think one of them was C.H. Robinson, like the original broker, and then I was able to, get a hold of them, and then they paid me that load directly. Question from Rod Diesel: why is booking under your own authority more costly for the carrier? It's not booking under, it's working under your authority, actually, to be exact. If you have your own authority, then you have a liability that comes with that. You have DOT all over you, and you have to have insurance. You have to have, most likely maybe even your equipment, your office, maybe employees. And if you have an owner operator that's leased onto you, usually this is the way things work. You book a load for them and you get paid from the broker, and then you pay the owner operator minus the percentage fee that you're charging. But usually, depends if you're factoring or not. When is your factoring going to pay you, or when is the broker going to pay you? Usually, owner operators are paid every week. Like for the last week, maybe like 1 week behind. Some companies do like 2 weeks behind, but still that's much faster than when the brokers pay. And then, like, even if you're factoring and you get money from your factoring company right away, you pay your owner operator, but there is still a chance that the broker is not going to pay your factoring company. And then if they don't pay after a while, your factoring company is going to charge you back that money, and that means that you're not paid, but you already paid the owner operator. But usually, that's on you. Your owner operator, they book the load with you, you pay them. You can't not pay them if the broker did not pay you. Maybe you can do it once, but that owner operator is probably going to leave you because that's not his or her fault. Only if they did something wrong with the load, that's their fault, and the broker cut the pay or didn't pay, that's different. But if they did the load, the owner operator or even your company driver, then you still have to pay them. So you carry a risk of not getting paid. Okay, so you booked a load for $2,000, you paid your owner operator, and the broker is not paying, so you're $2,000. That's the risk. If you're a dispatching company, you have none of these. You don't have your authority, your insurance, no liability, no safety record that can get bad, and then it will hurt you in your future in business. And if the broker does not pay that owner operator, that carrier, you have nothing to do with that. You still get paid from the owner operator, from the carrier that you're working for. Do dispatchers need EIN number to get paid? Because as far as I know, it's required to have EIN number in order to open a bank account. Yes, it is required to have EIN number from the IRS in order to open up a business account. If you're opening a personal account, then you can do it with your social security number. So in order to get paid, usually it is more professional, and it's better if you have a company. And companies are not that hard to open if you live in United States. Now, if you're dispatching from some places, that's a different story. Then because I know there is a way to open up a bank account in United States, even if you're not in United States, even if you're not a resident, and then maybe even start a company. I want to do a little bit more investigating on that matter, and then down the road maybe make a video about that, because a lot of people are asking, and that's one of the struggles that they're having, whoever lives abroad, that they cannot open up a company here, open up a bank account, and therefore, it's hard for them to do business in United States because they don't have a company registered here. So I don't want to talk about that much here. Like I said, I want to do a video about it, but I have to do some research. I'm Mohammed. I'm interested in becoming truck dispatcher. I watched and subscribed into your channel. Thank you. The question is, how shall I know if the load is booked before he calls the load? Well, usually brokers will delete the posting as soon as they book the load. Sometimes they don't. They forget, or it gets reposted, by itself, automatically. And sometimes, you call on the load and, the load is already gone. So you can't really know if the load is booked or not until you call. You have to call and ask them if the load is available. The only thing maybe if the load is sitting for a long time, like 2, 3, 5 hours, 16 hours, like when you log in the next morning and the load is just there, it's 16 hours old. So what that means, it's probably gone. They didn't bother to remove it. They didn't bother to repost it. So usually when I call on those loads, they're already gone. Sometimes they are not, but usually they're gone. So what I would wait, I would wait in the morning if they refresh it, and then I see there's a new posting, then I would call them, because that usually means that they have the load, but you can't usually know until you call them. Hi, Anis. How do you quickly add the broker as a certificate holder to your insurance? You have to have access to a portal that your insurance agent will provide to you. So there are a few options when you get set up with a broker, and this really, it doesn't really matter if you have your own trucking authority or if you're a dispatching company and you're dispatching on behalf of someone else, and then you're doing the paperwork, including the insurance certificate on behalf of them. So it's not much different. There are a few options. The broker can call the insurance company, and then they have the phone number. Like if when you send them the packet, for your company or for the carrier, there is usually insurance included in that packet, and they have a phone number. Or even like they have brokers have their own services that they use to identify carriers and then see if they are legal, how the safety is. So those websites, like Datboard or Truckstop or 411, they have all the information about you, including your insurance. So they could call the insurance and ask them to send them the certificate, including add them as the certificate holder. They can email them too. And then usually the insurances have departments that only do that. So when they call them, they would answer right away, or when they email them, usually they send it back right away, within 5-10 minutes, because that's what they do all day long. And they know that this is really important, because you can't get a load until they get it. A lot of insurances, a lot of agents will provide you with access to their portal, free of charge. So if you're working with a carrier, ask them, to contact the insurance, contact the agent, and ask them if they have an option for that, and they will provide you with the login information. So you log into the portal, and then you just add whoever the certificate holder is, their information, and which email is it sending to. And then you just click the send button, or done, finished, or whatever they have, and then it will send it to that address, to that broker, but it will make it look as it's coming directly from the insurance. It's not coming from you or from your carrier. It's coming directly from insurance, and then they know that this is legit. So that's how you can do it. In your experience dealing with different load boards, do you find many loads that can be arranged in such a way that a weekend holiday is used for delivery slash driving. In other words, if a driver wants to optimize his truck usage and wants to work on weekends and holidays, is there much market for such loads? Yeah, I do it all the time, and I've been doing it all the time. It depends, if you have a driver who is willing to that, you can always find loads on weekends to deliver and pick up. So what I would usually do is on Friday, if I know that someone wants to drive over the weekend, on a Friday, I would find them a short load. If but that's one of the options. That's the first option. So find them a short load, like 3, 4, 5, 600 miles, and then delivery on Saturday. So you have to make sure that this load can deliver on a Saturday or Sunday. And then when you book that load, then you start looking from that area for a longer load, like a 2-day trip that can give them more miles. If the driver has to do a reset, that's different. Then you would, book a 2-day trip on Friday, and they can use a Sunday or Saturday to do the reset. But if they want to work over the weekend, you always make sure that it's a shorter load, or maybe like delivering on Sunday, if it's a longer load, and then, pick up another shorter or longer load for Tuesday or Monday. But keep in mind that like wherever you send them, it has to be a somewhat good area. Okay, so don't send them to a bad area on a weekend, because there are not that many loads on a weekend. And then if you're in a bad area, they don't have any loads, on a work day anyway, let alone on a weekend. So make sure it's a good area, or even a really good area. And then once you send them over there, make sure that you look for a load right away, on Friday or on Thursday, and book the first good load that you can. Don't be too picky. If you're too picky, like you wait till Friday afternoon, you might not find anything, because on Friday afternoon everyone just wants to go home. Sometimes you can find a load Saturday morning, and that's what I did too. If I really wasn't able to find anything on Friday, or something urgent, out of nowhere comes up on Saturday morning, if you, by 11 or noon, if you booked something, then you're okay. Everything after that, it's going to be hard to find anything. So you can even book loads on Saturday morning. But like I said, don't be too picky. Just grab a first decent load and just be happy that you have a load. It's hard to be picky like that. And then it's not a bad idea to even call the company when you book a load to deliver on a weekend, and call them up and ask them if they are actually working, because sometimes brokers, don't know. Maybe something changed. They work with like 2 or 3 different people, and they didn't tell each other. And then your driver comes there, and everything is closed, and they're stuck there over the weekend, and you lose another load. So make sure that they're open on a weekend, and you can definitely do that. Is checking with factoring company dispatchers or carriers' responsibility? It's usually, in my eyes, I think it's logical that dispatcher does it. Carrier is if they have an office, or if it's only one owner operator, they're driving or working on something else. That's why they hired you to find them a load. So I just think that it would be cool that you check the broker with a factoring company, because you're calling on a load, setting up a load, booking a load, sending the information to the driver and all that. And it would be logical that you, as a dispatcher, check the factoring company, provided that they gave you the access to that. If you don't have the access to their company, to their factoring, like their portal or email, then that's different. But if they provided you with all that, then you should be checking that out, because to me that's like the full service that you're providing. If they have to do it, then they're probably gonna feel like, well, we give you the percentage to do this, and you should finish the load book the load from start to finish, and we are paying a percentage and all that, so we expect full service. Hello, is it true that some shippers won't work with carriers who are under 90 days or even under 6 months of driving. Also, do carriers get fined for not delivering on time? Yes, it is true, and not only not just 90 days, but 30 days, 60. So I'll just make it more simple. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4, 6, 9, 12, 24 months. There are a lot of brokers who have those rules. They're not going to work with you. I made a video about that, and if I don't forget, I'll put it here on a video card about how to get brokers to work with you if you are a brand new authority. But yeah, that is true. So check out that video. I heard you say you were sending over insurance info to the broker. So I understand to activate your authority you need insurance, but how does that work with the insurance company saying you don't own a truck? Also, how much of a cost difference are we talking versus insurance being an owner operator? So originally when I answered this question, now I actually understand what he was asking me. So I kind of answered something else because I thought he was asking me something else. In order to have your authority activated by FMCSA DOT, you have to have insurance. In order to have insurance, you need to have a truck. So you cannot open up an authority with your MC number, DOT number without a truck. So you need a truck. That can be a company truck that you own, that you bought for yourself or for a driver, or it can be from an owner operator that's leased on to your company, and you add them to the insurance, and then insurance will issue a certificate once you have a truck. So you can't start a company without a truck, an authority. That's a problem. Some people would find a truck, like an old truck that someone has sitting, and then just to start they would use that truck. The thing is, as far as I know, even if you know someone, you have a friend or someone that has a truck, you can't have one truck on two insurances, because they know they have it in their system. That I think that's the case. The system shows them you can't, like if you have someone on your insurance and then they leave, go to another company, they cannot add them until you delete them. I know that's the case with some insurances. I don't know if it's the case with everyone, but I'm just trying to say that you can't add a truck to insurance if that truck is already on someone else's liability and cargo. DOT only needs liability. They don't ask you for cargo, but cargo is a must-have, with brokers and, handling freight, so you have to have cargo. Hi, how should I count the miles for the drivers to pay them? So how to know how many miles the driver drove? There are several ways you can do that. You can use mapping software, whatever you use for maps, and then type in manually all the points, like where they picked up, where they went to pick up, deliver, and then do another pickup and all that. So that's a lot of work. You have to, every week you have to manually type in all the locations and then pay them based on total mileage. Second option is if you use some kind of a TMS, tracking management software, like something cheap is more than enough, but what that will make it easier for you to do everything, like, because usually you can do invoices, you can do maybe even driver settlements in those programs. They will count the miles for you, for your driver to pay them, and for IFTA, for IRP, anything you're doing. So that TMS software will calculate all the miles for your driver for that truck. You're invoicing all those loads and putting all the destinations, and then it will produce the miles that they drove. And the third option is just to ask the driver, and that's what I do. I think that's the best way to keep the driver happy, because sometimes they will take some routes that your map does not know that they took. There might be a detour, They might have to, like there could have been truck restrictions on that route, so they took a different route. So what I do is every Monday they send me the mileage off of the odometer. Whatever the mileage is, like 300,000 miles, for example. And then next Monday they send me the mileage again. So next Monday it could be 302,000 miles. So when I subtract one from each other, I know that they drove 2,000 miles or 2,126. So it's exactly to the mile, and I pay them all those miles, load and empty, same rate. Maybe drivers could, misuse this, but so far I haven't, like no one is gonna go 200 miles extra somewhere, just to make those miles and lie about the miles. You are gonna notice. You're tracking them probably. You can see where they're fueling. Tolls, scale houses. You can see where they went. After you may not be able to catch it right away, but after a while you'll catch it, and then they can take a picture of the odometer and send it to you, and then it's all legit. But then also when they come in, when you look at the truck, and then you see, you can see, that they have been honest and they've been sending you that, and they're going to appreciate it. So that's how I pay my drivers, from the odometer. Do you use a laptop when you're out of the house in case one of your carriers calls with an issue? You can then check load boards, etc. If you're out maybe shopping or something. I use my phone all the time. It's always with me, and on the phone you can do 99% of the things. You can check emails, answer phone calls, of course. You can check load boards on their websites or even apps. All load boards have apps now. And then in your email, I don't delete my emails. I only delete, spam, and like sometimes brokers will send me like auto-generated emails with their loads and stuff like that. But when I get a rate confirmation, I never delete it. I always leave it in my email, and then wherever I go, I can see it. And then it's easy. Like if a driver is delivering in, I don't know, Jackson, Michigan, or picking up in Indianapolis, or I know the name of the broker, and then I can just type it in. Like I use Gmail, the paid account, because it's more professional. It has more space, and I can use my domain name with that. I can connect it, but then it's a Gmail interface. So I think it's called G Suite, and you just search for the location where they picked up, or the broker's name, and then the rate confirmation will come up, and then you can see the broker's information, the load information. You can call them up. Load boards are there. If truck breaks down on the road, you can use websites for that too. You can even send a fax if you're using electronic fax like eFax or CocoFax. I used both. All you do is, like, when you set up the fax, you just send an email to you use first the number, the fax number as an address. Like you just go do a regular email, create an email, and then use the first 9 digits, including the 1. So that's 10 digits for the fax number, and then and I think like eFax was sendefax.efax.com. Something like that. So, and then you use it in a form of an email, including that fax number first, and then you can send a fax, from your phone, and then even receive it, because all the faxes that you're getting, using eFax, like using a regular phone fax number that you give to brokers, they send it to that fax number, and eFax forwards it to your email, and then you can read your fax on your phone. So basically, all you need is a phone. You don't need anything else. And I booked so many loads, waiting for my kids at school, or when I was in shopping, or by a dentist, waiting in a line at a cashier. I would be sometimes booking loads. So you don't need a laptop like that. So that's it.